A white cop pulled a gun on a black woman, all because she was driving a nice car. He thought she was powerless. But what he didn't know, she was the Deputy Director of Homeland Security. And when her federal backup arrived, the whole world watched him fall. The Virginia night stretched wide and peaceful, the horizon painted in the soft glow of a setting sun bleeding into deep twilight. The sky wore a shawl of burnt orange and violet, while the last light of day cast long shadows over the manicured lawns of Fairfax County. Street lights flickered to life, one by one, their hum blending with the chirp of crickets. Danielle Vaughn guided her midnight blue SUV down the familiar suburban road. Jazz flowed from her speakers, John Coltrane, soothing, steady. Her ritual after days filled with national security briefings and high-stakes decisions. Deputy Director of the Department of Homeland Security's Cyber Crime Division. A title that weighed heavy. But tonight, she felt light. No crisis. No classified threats. Just home waiting in Arlington, leftovers, and a true crime podcast. She checked the clock. 8:47 p.m. 10 minutes to go. Her body eased, but her posture remained upright. After 44 years navigating the world as a black woman in America, some instincts never dulled. She followed every rule. Turn signal. Speed limit. Mirror check. Not out of fear. Out of experience. And still, the lights came. Red and blue flashes tore through her rearview mirror, burning away the calm she'd carefully built. Her heart jolted. Her jaw clenched, not from fear. She'd seen too much for that. But from the dull, suffocating weight of familiar frustration. Here we go, she muttered, pulling onto the gravel shoulder. Music off. Interior light on. Hands visible. Palms square on the wheel. Survival, passed down like heirlooms. The siren gave one last bark, then silence. A figure approached, white male, late 20s, swagger in his step. Flashlight snapping on before he even reached her window. His nameplate gleamed. Officer Kyle Mercer. Tap. 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 His knuckles struck the glass, sharp and commanding. Danielle lowered the window halfway. Her voice was calm, composed. Good evening, officer. Is there a problem? He stared, flashlight fixed on her face. No greeting. No courtesy. License and registration, he barked. She didn't move. I'll be happy to provide that. But may I ask why I was pulled over? A pause. Tense. Thin. Mercer shrugged. Your car caught my eye. Just need to check things out. Caught his eye. I was driving 35. Signaled at every turn. Obeyed the law, Danielle said firmly. I'd like to know what I did wrong. His posture stiffened. Flashlight dipped, but his tone sharpened. Look, I don't need a reason to check your papers. Hand them over. She inhaled. Slowly. Steadily. She knew her rights. Knew the law better than he ever would. But knowledge tasted bitter in moments like this. This wasn't about law. This was about power. The kind that wore a badge and thought it made you untouchable. Officer Mercer, she said, locking eyes. By law, I'm requesting the reason for this stop. Gravel crunched louder as he leaned closer. You don't get to tell me how to do my job. Your car looks out of place. That's enough for me. Out of place. Her pulse ticked faster. A black woman. In a luxury SUV. In the suburbs. She reached slowly for her license and registration. Held them in hand but didn't let go. I live 10 miles from here. I drive this road every day. Mercer smirked. You're not home yet. The air thickened. She'd briefed Congress. Monitored global crises. Trained agents on de-escalation. And now? She was just another black body, stopped by white authority. She could comply. Make it easy. But something inside her refused. I'll cooperate fully, she said, her voice like steel, but I ask again, what is your legal cause for this stop? Mercer's hand twitched near his belt. Get out of the car. Darkness deepened. The storm was coming. Danielle shifted slightly. Hands still on the wheel. Her body glowed under the dashboard lights. She didn't move. This is not lawful, she said. I've complied. You've given no cause. Mercer sneered. Your car is out of place. You're out of place. She felt her blood heat. She wasn't out of place. But belonging doesn't protect you when someone decides you don't belong. You people always got something to say, Mercer hissed. Think you're smarter than the badge. Out here, I'm the law. Danielle tightened her grip on the wheel. This wasn't a tactical op. This was racism raw, unfiltered, dressed in uniform. If I fold here, she thought, what message does that send? I've done nothing wrong, she said again. No probable cause, no compliance. That's my right. Mercer's smugness cracked. His hand twitched. Danielle's stomach turned cold. You don't get to decide what your rights are out here, he growled. I'm giving you a lawful order. Step out or I'll make you. Her heart pounded. But her voice stayed calm. I'm not resisting. I'm asking for fairness. You have no cause. That's not just my opinion. That's the law. Mercer stepped back. For a second, she thought he might retreat. Then, his hand drifted again. You're going to regret this, he muttered. Danielle reached slowly for the phone on her dash. She hit record. The red light blinked. You think a damn camera's going to save you, he spat. It's not about saving me, she said. It's about the truth. His face twisted. He slammed his hand against the door, making the SUV rattle. Get out of the car. Now. Danielle jolted. But she caught herself. Shoulders squared. Chin high. I don't feel safe, she said. You have no cause. His fingers grazed the grip of his pistol. One heartbeat from catastrophe. She held the line. This wasn't just about her. It was about every black person who'd been told they didn't belong. She didn't move. Didn't flinch. Didn't fold. Because power unchecked must be confronted. And truth, no matter how buried, will always rise. The light flickered as it danced across her face, but no longer steady. His hand shook now. His other hovered near his holster, fingers grazing the grip of his sidearm, tracing that fatal edge between threat and action. His breathing, once controlled, had grown jagged like a man cornered not by danger, but by the collapse of his own authority. Danielle's heart thudded behind her ribs, each beat reverberating against her sternum like a war drum. She felt the weight of every story she'd read, every headline she'd wept over. Black lives ended on roadsides just like this. Bodies slumped behind wheels. Justified by words like non-compliance and officer safety. She had spent decades climbing the ranks of Homeland Security, crafting policies meant to protect the country. But here, none of it shielded her. Here, she was just another black woman in the wrong place, in the wrong skin. Mercer's jaw clenched, his flashlight dipping as he barked the command again, louder now, more desperate. I said, step out of the vehicle. Danielle didn't move. Her voice, a thin veneer of calm stretched over the roaring fire inside, responded. You have no lawful cause. I've complied. I am not stepping out without reason. The flashlight snapped off. Darkness swallowed them, broken only by the soft pulse of her dashboard camera. She saw the shift in his eyes. The moment he made the decision. His hand shot down to the holster. Metal scraped leather. The gun came free. Her breath caught an invisible fist closing around her throat. Mercer raised the weapon, leveling it through the open window. The barrel gleamed under the streetlight, pointed directly at her chest. The world froze, contracted around the glint of steel and the pounding of her pulse. She stared down the black maw of the gun. The air electric, suffocating. Mercer's voice cracked with raw, unhinged fury. Now, or I swear. Danielle didn't hear the rest. She was focused on the weight of the gun, the way Mercer's hand trembled. From adrenaline or rage, she couldn't tell. She knew this was the point where Liv slipped away. Where a trigger turned a routine stop into a funeral. Her training screamed, stay still. Stay calm. Survive. But her soul, the one shaped by every time she'd been followed in a store, every time a man like Mercer had looked at her with that same contempt, raged. Her voice, softer now, but sharpened to a blade, cut through the dark. Officer Mercer, you're pointing a loaded weapon at an unarmed citizen who has done nothing wrong. You're breaking the law. Put the gun down. His hand twitched. The gun jerked slightly, as if jolted. But it didn't lower. You think you're above the law? Mercer spat, voice shaking. Sitting there giving me orders? That's not how this works. Danielle's fingers flexed against the steering wheel. Her body screamed to move, to run. But she stayed rooted. She wouldn't give him a reason. I know the law better than you do, Officer Mercer, she said, her tone, steel-wrapped velvet. You are escalating a peaceful encounter. I am unarmed. I am no threat to you. You are the threat here. The words hung between them like a live wire. Mercer's grip tightened. Keep running that mouth. See what happens. Her heart pounded. But her face, composed. Every inch of her resisted the tide of fear. She wasn't just fighting for herself now. She was fighting for every black person silenced by fear of the badge. She glanced at the blinking camera light. This is all recorded, she reminded him. Your gun. Your words. Your threats. Mercer's eyes darted to the phone. The flashing red dot sliced through his bravado. But his finger still curled near the trigger. As if anger alone could justify murder. The storm rose inside her. Terror versus resolve. She would not let him make her small. I am Deputy Director Danielle Vaughn, she said, each word ringing clear. Department of Homeland Security. You have pulled a gun on a federal official without cause. You will put that weapon down or answer for it. The world held its breath. Mercer's eyes flickered. Confusion broke through the fury. You're lying, he hissed. But there was no conviction. Only fear. I'm not, she pressed. And you know it. You've made the worst mistake of your career and the whole world will know. Then, sirens. Growing louder. Mercer didn't lower the gun. She stayed still. Her voice gentle but firm. It's over, Officer Mercer. You can end this now. Before it gets worse. The sirens howled closer. Would they help her or back him up? The line between life and death razor thin. But Danielle refused to blink. She wasn't just surviving this night. She was fighting for every voice silenced on roads like this. For every life cut short by a badge and a gun. The sirens pierced the night. Patrol lights flickered. And the world began to watch. The federal investigation had already begun. It launched the moment Agent Marcus Sterling called it in. Mercer was taken into custody. His badge stripped. His service weapon logged into evidence. But Danielle knew this wasn't the end. His actions were just a symptom. The disease ran deeper, woven into the legal system, wrapped in policies that shielded men like him, dressed as standard operating procedure. Her inner turmoil simmered beneath a composed exterior. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Mercer's hand hover near his holster. The rage in his eyes as he refused to see her humanity. No badge. No title. No years of service could protect her from that. The doorbell rang, sharp, jarring. Danielle turned, her spine straightening as she crossed the room. She opened the door to find Agent Sterling standing there. His expression tense. His shoulders heavy with the weight of the fallout. "They're moving fast," he said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "Mercer's booked. The department's spinning. But the footage is out. They know they can't bury this." Danielle crossed her arms, her gaze steady but distant. "Can't they?" she murmured. Sterling paused, jaw tightening. "Not this time. Not with you. Not with the video." But Danielle knew better. She'd seen it too many times. Outrage followed by silence. Protests followed by policy drafts that gathered dust. Justice wasn't a certainty. It was a fight. One she wasn't sure she had the strength to take on again. "I need you to testify," Sterling said, breaking the silence. Formal statement. Public hearing. This is bigger than Mercer. We both know that. Danielle turned to the window, watching the street fill with light. "It always was," she whispered. By noon, the story had cracked wide open. Headlines screamed from every screen. Senior Homeland Security official threatened at gunpoint by local officer. Cable news played the footage on a loop. Mercer's voice sharp. His gun steady. Danielle's calm refusal to shrink, to surrender. Outrage burned across social media. Activists flooded platforms, demanding charges for attempted murder. Hashtags surged. Hashtag Serve Protect Black Women. Hashtag Justice for Danielle. Hashtag End Racial Profiling. Strangers shared their own stories. Traffic stops turned battlegrounds. Rights ignored. Dignity stripped. Danielle sat quietly in the corner of her office, the weight of every voice pressing down. The helplessness of that night still churned inside her. But the fire beneath the fear refused to be silenced. That evening, she faced the cameras. Standing before a sea of microphones outside the Alexandria courthouse. Dressed in a simple black suit. Hair pulled tightly back. Her voice carried not just her own story, but the cries of thousands. "This isn't just about me," she began. "This is about every black woman who has been told she doesn't belong. Every person who has faced a badge wielded as a weapon, not a shield." Her voice never cracked. But